The following program is a public access production. Comcast is required to provide time on this channel and make it available pursuant to franchise agreements with the communities we serve. Comcast is not affiliated with the following program or the producers of public access programming and is not responsible for the content. The following program does not reflect the opinions of Comcast or its affiliates.
Welcome to another edition of Discover Tinley, where we highlight people and organizations in town that really make Tinley Park a great place in which to live. And as we all know, Tinley Park is a pretty great place in which to live. A lot of outstanding people and organizations in town, and we'd like to highlight those every month. As usual, the program is brought to you through the volunteer services of the Community Resources Commission, along with our student volunteers and interns, all kinds of volunteers helping to put this program on every month. Hope you had a good time at Discover Tinley if you went there. It was kind of a neat affair. The Community Resources Commission puts that on every year too at the Convention Center. We had a pretty good turnout, and hopefully when you hear about it next year, you'll go on to that next year. Spring is coming. Hopefully summer's coming pretty soon. A lot of good things happening in Tinley Park. I got a couple things I want to make some announcements on. Some groups have asked us to announce a few things coming up. The Pass Network for Life is having a Hike for Life and Extreme Run on Saturday, June 4th at 7 to 11 a.m. It's a real neat organization in Tinley Park that helps young ladies with life issues. Hike for Life and Extreme Run, contact www.helppass.org or call 708-614-9777. And another program coming up, sponsored by the American Legion, is something called Boys State, where young men get to actually kind of form a state government and learn how to do a state government. If you want to get involved with that, that's during June. Also, contact your local American Legion post and get some information on that on some young high school students on actually leadership experiences running a state government. Maybe they can help out our state government. I don't know, the way things are going. We got some interesting guests today, some very important guests. And our first guest has done quite a feat in Tinley Park. Tinley Park is known for some championship teams, championship people, but not too often state champions come around. So we have a state champion in our midst with Eric Schultz, a state wrestling champion. Welcome to Discover Tinley.
Thank you.
And Coach John Pfeffer, who was the coach.
Yep, thank you.
Hey, wow.
Our pleasure for being here tonight.
Good for you, good for you. So state champ, how's that feel, be the state champion?
It's pretty good. It's like everything I thought I'd feel like.
Did you have that aim to be a state champion when you first started wrestling? Did that ever cross your mind?
Yeah.
Did it?
Yeah, all the time.
Really?
Especially because my dad was, so like the goal was to go to Tinley Park and be a state champion, just like he was.
Wow.
And then once I got to it was like, I just to be a little bit better than he was. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's Eric's father was the last Tinley Park High School wrestling champion in, 1987?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of runs in the family now, huh? So when you have your kids, they'll be state champion?
I sure hope they.
Okay. What drew you to that sport? What made you even think about going into wrestling?
It was it's like in my family, and then so they kind of put me in it, and I just eventually grew on me, and I just started to like it a lot, fell in love with it, and now I'm here.
You're here, wow. Now, when and where did you start doing this wrestling? How old were you when you started, and what did you do to get to this point?
I started when I was about 8 years old at the Tinley Park Bulldogs, and I wasn't very good when I was for the Tinley Park Bulldogs.
Really?
And they helped me out a lot, especially Coach Stearns. After my 7th grade year, I don't know if I was going to come back to wrestling. and he told me to stick with it, and so I came back, and then it just everything. I started to get a lot better at wrestling, so I have a huge thanks to him.
Okay, good. Anybody else who were good influences on you in life and your wrestling career?
My dad and my grandpa, and then the coaches at Tinley all helped me a ton.
Okay.
And then Coach Poeta, someone who I saw a couple times a week, was a huge help too.
Wow. Speaking of coaching, coaching a state champion, how was that? How did that hit you? How'd you do that?
It's amazing. I really can't take much of the credit for there. My job was to keep the kid in shape and make sure he got on the bus.
Oh boy.
He took care of it himself. You know, by far the hardest working athlete I've ever had.
Oh my.
He just nonstop. I mean, he got to the places where he is because of the work ethic that he has. You know, going through our workouts, which were very challenging, and then he would go out and get another workout in later on that night, or he would get up again early the next day and push himself again. So he's earned it. There's no question about it. And the ability is, you know, certainly natural there with his family. But Eric's pushed himself to get to this point and to not let himself slip or to take it easy on himself and just kind of coast through. He's pushed to, you know, break just about every Tinley Park record that he could, and he's our first 4-time state placer.
Oh my! Oh, I didn't know that.
And he also leaves Tinley Park with the most wins in program history, with 168 career wins.
Oh my goodness! You didn't say that.
Yeah, he's very modest and,
Okay.
and humble in his approach. But yeah, you know, he only lost 13 matches in 4 years.
Oh my goodness!
And-
And I understand this year undefeated, right?
Undefeated, 44-0.
Oh my goodness.
So
Okay, how
just-
do you do that, Eric?
Yeah.
How do you? What's your training kind of like? What's it like to be training for a wrestling career? What do you go through?
A lot of pain. A lot of pain.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. This year was probably the hardest year. I wake up and work out on match days before school, and then after practices, I would either go get another practice in or a lift after practice. So a couple workouts a day usually.
When you say workout, what does that mean you're doing? What are you doing on a workout?
Either practicing, lifting, running, or one of the harder ones was running Swallow Cliff out in Payless.
What?
Yeah. That
You
was,
run up that thing?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
That was one of the harder ones.
Okay.
And then I did do hot yoga on Sundays, which was
What's that?
it's like yoga in a room that's 105 degrees with 40% humidity.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's a lot harder than you think.
No, it sounds hard. Now, did you have to? Are you one of those? You have to lose weight a lot of times. Okay. I didn't-
Freshman year, I did. I cut like 12 pounds or something, and wrestled 138.
Oh my.
And then every year after that, I was not cutting weight. It's not for me.
Okay. I remember seeing that kids losing how many pounds and all that stuff, and what they went through. That's got to be horrendous to go through. Now, what weight class did you wrestle at this past year?
195.
195. Okay, you don't look like 195. Wow. Okay. So that's good. Kind of neat. That so your training really helped you out, and you didn't have to go through a lot of weight loss, huh?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
What are workouts like now for the team now? What was it like to work on a team now? What kind of things do you do to coach a team as a wrestling team?
Sure, we actually had a really successful team this year. You know, as great as Eric's accomplishments were, it was nice that he was really surrounded by his other teammates experiencing some level of success as well. With the trophy that we have here on the table, it's the first team trophy team conference trophy that we've won in 25 years.
Oh my!
Yeah, so it was great seeing so many guys reach their potential, wrestle to their utmost ability, and everybody participating and contributing to that effort. And you know, to win a championship as a team is really something special.
Did any other kids come close, or what were some of your other major accomplishments on the,
Sure.
on the
Well,
team?
for the team, we were first at the Lincoln tournament, first place out of 26 teams. We had 9 of our wrestlers placed in the top 6 in that invitational. We were second out of 16 teams at the Reed-Custer tournaments. We won conference. We had the most sectional qualifiers the school's ever had with 11.
Oh, my.
And then out of that group of 11, 8 of those young men qualified for the state tournament. So that's
8 qualified?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's a new record for Tinley Park High School as well. We had 8 individual qualifiers. Eric was the state champ, and then one of our other wrestlers, Cesar Clark, another senior, placed 6th of the tournament.
Okay.
So we really had a great team this year. It wasn't just Eric and all of his accomplishments. It was really nice to see guys that he's gone through the program with experience their best success as well this final year.
That's kind of, well, it helps to have a good team behind you. To
It
do
really
this.
does.
It motivates you a little more. I probably did
Yeah.
do that so you get to perform a little more. Wow. Well, now what's your future plans? What do you plan on doing after this year?
I'm heading out to the University of Nebraska to wrestle.
Okay. Looking forward to college. Now, is college wrestling, do you know much about that? Is that going to be much different than high school wrestling?
Yeah.
A little more intense?
Yeah, it's tons.
You ready for that?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Any idea what you want to go into or what you might do as a career possibly? Or professional wrestling maybe, huh?
Nah, I don't know yet. I was going to take the first year and see what I like and stuff like that. And then maybe like what some of the guys on the team, what they're doing and stuff.
Okay.
So we'll see how it goes.
Okay, and then you were at Tinley Park High School. Any particular teachers that kind of stand out in your mind that were kind of neat to have over the last 4 years? Any teachers stand out in your mind as, hey, those guys are pretty neat?
Yeah, my coach was one of my teachers.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Okay.
And
Well, I'm sorry, what did you teach?
Actually, I had Eric twice. I had him for American history his junior year,
Okay.
and then I had him for American governments his senior year.
Oh, my, okay.
So we spent a lot of time together.
I get, okay. Okay, and who else?
All my math teachers I seem to like a lot. And
Any names?
Miss Ladiak, I have her right now.
Okay.
And Mr. Pickert, Miss Canning.
Mr. Pickert, is he still there?
Yes.
I used to work with him,
Yep.
okay.
He's getting close to the end.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But yep, he's still there and still one of our best.
Wow. Now, what would you advise young people to do to get in shape or get that kind of mental attitude to go for a championship? What would you say to a young person who's maybe 8 or 9 or 10 years old? What would you tell them?
I tell them that they just gotta want it and they just gotta work hard for it. Eventually, it will come to them.
Okay. And how about you? What do you tell your young people to get them motivated to really put out their best?
Not to be discouraged. Effort means everything. That's all we're going to ask from you. And when you go out there with that mindset that I just got to go and do everything that I can, the other things will take care of themselves. And the wins and losses will kind of take care of themselves, and it'll happen or it won't happen. But don't be afraid. Just go out there and give it your all. Try your best, and we'll take care of the rest when it comes to coaching and doing the technique part of it.
Okay.
But be adventurous. Try something different.
Good.
Yeah, we get a lot of guys that have never wrestled before they got to high school. Actually, of those 8 state qualifiers, 6 of them had never wrestled before they got to high school.
Wow.
So, we've got a very good system. We've got some excellent coaches, and if they're willing to give us their effort and willing to try, we'll get you the success as you put the time in.
Very good.
And
Well,
no, not to be discouraged.
Yeah.
As Eric said, he was kind of on the fence a little bit in his life and his young career, but he made that decision. He made that choice to commit himself and to do better, and look where it got him.
yeah, you didn't always win every time, did you?
No,
Okay, so you had a few close calls. I was how many pins did you have this year?
it,
You remember?
26, I think it was this year.
Oh my. Okay. Okay. Any close calls? Any close matches that you were?
not this year.
No.
No, his closest match, he won by 13 points.
Oh my goodness.
Everything else either by technical fall, which is our slaughter rule, which is 15 points or more, or by pin. So
Holy cow.
he beat everybody by that score except for there was one guy all year that he didn't pin or tech, and he beat that kid by 13 points.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
Right.
Well, I wish you all the best of luck, best at Nebraska, and keep up the good work. You seem like you got a tremendous attitude and a tremendous work ethic, so don't ever give that up. Congratulations to you and your dad for being the last state champion, and congratulations to you as the coach. And
Thank you so much.
Keep up the good work with Tinley Park High School.
We sure will.
We got champions in town. Tinley Park High School wrestling champ, state champion Eric Schultz. Well, it's kind of neat talking to the state champion, wrestling champion, Eric Schultz of Tinley Park, to find out some of the nice, really great young people we have in Tinley Park. Our next segment is going to take a little different track. We're going to talk about some things going on in town that many people have had some talk about, curious about, and that's the economic development of Tinley Park. And some of you have been around town long enough know that a lot of things have been happening in town over the years, and some new things are happening in town. And we're going to have with us today the trustee, Brian Maher, who's in charge of the Economic Development Committee on the village board. So trustee Maher, welcome to Discover Tinley.
Hi, Ron. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. The Economic Development Chairman. So what does that entail, and why do we need to have Tinley Park be really involved with economic development? What does that do for our town?
Well, Ron, as you know, the trustees in town each have areas that they're responsible for that they chair. I chair finance and economic development. That's relatively new for me, although I've been on the board for going on 18 years. I've only been the finance chairman and economic development chairman since Dave Seaman became mayor. So it's been a short period of time, but a busy period of time in the short time that I've been responsible for that. To answer your question, why do we encourage economic development? Why do we need to be involved with it? Well, there are a number of reasons. Good development doesn't happen on its own. You need to have the right tools in place to help make it happen. And sometimes that can be incentive programs. Other times it can be tax increment financing district funds. Those types of tools that help you attract quality development are things that we've tried to put in place in the village, and things that we're concerned about making sure that are available, so that when we look at the types of businesses that we want to attract to the village, we have the tools to make it happen.
And now, Ivan Baker is the Economic Development Coordinator, Director, right?
That's correct. Ivan is an outstanding economic development director, and he's very active in many societies and groups in the Chicago area, including Cornet Global and many other chambers of commerce and so forth. So Ivan he's got his finger on the pulse of economic development in the Chicago area, so he's always aware of who's going where and looking for new opportunities to bring exciting new businesses to the village.
Well, speaking of that, what's coming in town? What are we looking at now as far as something coming to Tinley, and how's been our track record so far?
We've had a very good year. We had 52 new businesses open in Tinley Park in the past year, and over 250 opened since the recession ended a few years back. So we have had some very good activity in Tinley Park. Some of the specific projects that are happening right now are the Great Escape, which is a pool and spa store on 159th Street, recently expanded and built a new facility on LaGrange Road that we expect to open soon. For now, they're going to keep both stores open, and hopefully they'll be able to maintain that. We've also had a couple new businesses on Oak Park Avenue open. Trying to remember, make sure I get the names of them correct. One of them is the Tinley Park Apothecary, and the other is Cork and Creations. They've joined the over 180 businesses already existing on Oak Park Avenue, and there are a number of others that are looking, and we're helping to encourage to try to find a way to open here in Tinley Park too.
There's been a lot of discussion on Oak Park Avenue, and sometimes I hear that, well, Oak Park Avenue is dead, there's nothing going on there, but apparently it's a pretty good active area. There's always room for more, but it's still a decent area to have a business now, isn't it? Absolutely.
There are, people often talk about how high the vacancies are, and actually our vacancies in our commercial area, including Oak Park Avenue, are not very high. They're under 10%. And many of those are businesses that just simply aren't able to make it because of the difficulty and the recession that we went through. And we're hoping to get new businesses to take their place. but sometimes that takes some time. There are a lot of significant projects that we're in discussion stage on, including the Boulevard at South Street and a couple others that I can't even really talk about yet because they're still in that sensitive negotiation stage. But there's definitely a spring market happening, and definitely a lot of renewed interest in commercial property in Tinley Park.
Can you talk about that South Street development?
Well, we're working with the developer to try to meet the things that they need to make the development happen, and to satisfy our board that it's going to be a project that's going to be a benefit to the village. There are some issues with construction style that we're trying to wrap our arms around, and also with the requirement for some public improvements to make that happen. But we're confident that we can make it happen, and that we can put a project together that will benefit the village and be a real anchor downtown. On the same note, we're not just waiting for businesses either. The village in this current budget has put a substantial amount of money in for expansion of the Zabraki Plaza, because we want to set an example. I know it's an objective of the mayor's in mind, that we want to set an example for the downtown development, and we want to expand that plaza so that the business people down there know that we're committed to downtown to Oak Park Avenue, and that we have skin in the game as well, that we're right there with them and trying to make it happen. One of the other things that we're working on is development of a tax increment financing district adjacent to the downtowns, so that we can encourage redevelopment of the former Panduit site. When Panduit moved built their new headquarters in Will County in Tinley Park, they retained 25% of their operation at the existing facility for research and development, but they have about 75% of the building that's outdated and doesn't have a use for them. So there's a need for redevelopment of that whole area. And there's also a need to provide detention for our downtown projects that have yet to develop. One of the things that the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District did recently is change some of the rules for water detention and for stormwater removal from certain areas. So that required us to figure out a way to provide detention off-site so that we wouldn't have to lose so much of the downtown land that's so valuable for transit-oriented development and that type of thing. So right now we're working on a couple of major projects to help the downtown area succeed, and one of them is that off-site detention, where through a series of conveyances, some existing, some to be built, we would move all that water from the downtown area to a larger and large retention area, and then it would be released into Midlothian Creek in accordance with the MWRD regulations.
Wow.
So there's some infrastructure things that have to be done in order for us to pave the way for some of this downtown development that we're trying to encourage.
Yeah, some people wonder, well, how come you didn't do this yesterday, type of thing, and people may not realize you got to go through a lot of things to get something developed. Eventually, there's a lot of steps that have to go into that.
Well, one of the issues has been, since the recession, money has been very tight for lenders lending on these kinds of projects, these major projects, and we're doing what we can to make sure that developers coming in have the tools they need so that the project can be a success and that they can contribute to a vibrant downtown.
All right. Well, let's talk about another big project coming in that's been some talk about, the old mental health center. What's going on with that, and what's the plan now? How is Tinley Park going about trying to get the best thing for that land there, and what's the status of that land?
Well, it's a very exciting project, and as you know, once the state closed the mental health center, they are interested in selling the property for redevelopment, and they initially came to the village and asked us if we were interested in purchasing it. We looked at that for quite a long time, and we very strongly considered it, but we had some reservations about that. It's a $4 million price tag, which isn't much, but the real price tag is what it's going to cost to clean it up. There is a lot of contamination there. There's an estimate of anywhere between $12 and $16 million to rehabilitate that site and to demolish some existing buildings on the site. So we hesitated to pull the trigger on buying the property, but what we are doing is trying to master plan the property. It's 280 acres. It's a huge site. And it's in Cook County, right across the street from Will County, which proposes some commercial development challenges due to the tax differentials in real estate taxes. It's much cheaper to develop in Will County than Cook County, particularly when you're in that close proximity. So what we're trying to do is master plan the site. We've hired a consultant and we've begun a series of workshops which will continue into June and July, where we've invited the public to come and look at concepts for development and opine to what they think should go there. And we've had some interesting contribution from the public. There's been a segment of people who would like to see some type of sports-oriented, youth sports-oriented facilities, and we're asking the consultant to take a hard look at that and whether there's anything there. There have been some interest in potential hotel development and that type of thing. The other part of it, though, is that most of it will likely develop as residential. So we're looking at what type of a mix makes sense there. Do we want all single family? Do we want a mixture of single family and higher density uses? Most likely we're talking about a mixture of things. For example, close to the 80th Avenue train station, it would be logical to have a higher density train-oriented type development for people to take advantage of the downtown transportation. Throughout other parts of the site, it may make more sense to have single-family and or townhome developments. And certainly there's room for some commercial. We're just not quite sure how much.
Mayor Stevens says about the Lucas Museum. Any chance of getting that? I think that would be neat.
Well, you know, I mean, it's one of those things. I don't know if you remember when Mayor Zabrocki was in office, the Cubs were considering a move, and he invited them to consider Tinley Park.
Right.
I think some people look at that as tongue-in-cheek, but it isn't necessarily, because we in fact do have a great community here, and we have great transportation to the city of Chicago and all over the country, really. So it's not that far-fetched to consider the Lucas Museum could land on the Mental Health Center property. But even if it doesn't, I think it's a positive thing to put it out there that Tinley Park is a progressive community, and we're looking for that site in particular, we're looking for something exciting. We're looking for ideas. And that's why we're opening it up to the public for all these workshops to get their thoughts, to get their input and their buy-in on the development of that center.
Well, real briefly, I got about a minute left. What makes Tinley attractive to developers?
Well, for one thing, we're just a solid community. We've got a great workforce here. We're a good mix of white and blue collar individuals in this town. Our schools are great. Our infrastructure is exceptional. We've done an exceptional job of providing access to great transportation throughout into the city and throughout the Chicagoland area. So people want to come here because they know it's a good place for employees. It's a solid community, and it will be here, and it's a well-managed community fiscally.
Wow. Well, it sounds like Tinley's got a good future ahead of it as far as economic development goes. So let's keep it on that right track if we can do that.
Well, Ron, we're sure going to do our best, and we won't fail for a lack of effort. That's for certain.
That's sure. Well, it sounds like Tinley Park has got some good things going. Sometimes we don't see that things going as fast as we'd like them to go, but it sounds like the village board and the economic development people are right on top of things, trying to get things developed here. So that means a lot for Tinley Park. Thanks for coming to Discover Tinley, and wish you all the best, and the Finance Committee Chairman.
Thank you, Ron, and thanks for having me.
Okay, tremendous guest today. Last minute, don't forget the Boys State coming up. If you want to get involved with that, talk to the American Legion. The PASS Run for Life on June 4th. PASS agencies in Tinley Park. Contact them for some details. Thanks again for watching Discover Tinley, and we'll see you next month.